Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Belli in the 3-minute pool on ICC. First game of the session. Let's try to play quick because this is 3 minutes. I think the last 3-minute video I recorded, which is probably about a month ago now, I was talking about the importance of playing fast in these 3-minute games and treating them more like 1-minute games. So I'm going to attempt to do the same. Looks like we have a Benoni transposition, h3 just stopping bishop g4. Usually black goes e6. They could also throw in a6 if they wanted. Rook e8's interesting. I don't know if that's the most accurate move because, yeah, it looks like black's going to play e6 regardless. Now I kind of want to take this way because I have good control over e4. So there's no knight e4. There's no bishop f5. Let's go here just to stop knight b4, and I'm going to stick this bishop on f4, pressure d6. Just look to continue with natural moves. Okay, now I'm going to play a4 just to stop b5 business. If he plays rook b8, I wonder if I have to worry about b5. No, he's going to go there. All right, I think I'm going to tuck this bishop back. If left to my own devices, I think I just play queen d2, rook e1, maybe knight e4 at some stage to pressure this pawn. In fact, knight e4 is a significant threat, isn't it? I can play it right now because how does he defend this pawn? He has to do something maybe suboptimal like bishop e5. Ah, okay, he has that move, but still I feel like that's a concession. Yeah, I'm just going to play queen d2. Looks normal. Can go bishop f5. I think I'll just play rook e1 then. All right. He's a bit cramped. So I'm going to bring this knight back. As far as I can tell, the only really active way for black to break here is to play b5 somewhere. I'm just going to play b3, just reinforce these pawns. Rook a7 is a weird-looking move. I would think the rook would want to go to b8 to prepare b5, but who knows. Okay, now let's bring this over. He trades. Bit of a bummer that I had to make that rook trade, but I feel like that was one of the best ways to try to make progress. Okay, let's go a5. If he takes knight a4 and then my queen is targeting that pawn on a5, I like the look of that. Okay, so now I can win the pawn back, which I think I'm going to do. Yeah, take here. He can't infiltrate anywhere here. Maybe my queen can sneak in, queen b6, or even knight b6 at some point. Doing well on the clock, 1:52. That's plenty of time. It's Sunday night, by the way. Little blitz chess on the ICC. Okay, knight d7. So I think he's looking for e5. He's angling for that square. Knight b6 again, queen d8. Love to bring my queen in somewhere. Maybe b4 right now. b4 looks decent. He has... Yeah, I'm going to play it. He doesn't have bishop c3 because my knight covers. He does have a passed pawn here now, but d6 is now an isolated pawn as a result of that trade. And so is the a pawn. It's passed, but it's also isolated. Okay. So looking for g5. Knight b6 now, maybe. Knight b6, take. Yeah, let's do it. I'm trying to leave him with some bad minor pieces. And now he can't play queen c7 because after the trade, d6 falls. So he reinforces, all right. c5 could be played. Looks a little premature. Knight d4 I'm looking at, trying to get in with the knight. How about this move, though? Yeah, he's ready for queen c7 next, though, isn't he? Nah, still, I'm going to get this back in the game. Let's do it. I feel like it was just sitting kind of out of play on h2. If it's not going to be traded, probably best to activate it. Let's go here. He might check me, but I don't think that's a big deal. Okay, now this is the part of the game where you really got to pay attention to the time because we're both getting low. Let's go here. Queen a2, bishop b3 or b1, one of the two. Okay, let's gain a little space.
Check.
h6 is weak. I'm going to reroute this knight. I'm going to send it to e4. This looks nice. I dropped a pawn there, unfortunately, but this is still weak. Just might be able to win that. Let's take that way. Because now I've got these two connectors. This is looking real nice. Advance these guys. Let's go here, threaten some discoveries. Push.
Check.
That's going to drop. Yeah, and these pawns were attacked. I got the C pawn. Looks like a winning position, but clearly time was the biggest factor there at the end. Okay, that was not a bad game, other than the fact that I lost the G pawn at the end. I like the way I handled that. I had a slight space edge the whole way. I feel like I was leaning on his weaknesses on d6, a6 the majority of the game. Yeah, could play, I think, this stage of the game better. I felt like with knight d2, I was going to bring him under quite a bit of pressure, but maybe I shouldn't play knight e4 right away, because with my bishop on c2 guarding f5, he can't get in f5 so easily. So maybe I just play a stabilizing move right now, like f3. I could also send the knight to b3, because somehow after this upcoming f5 move, things weren't so easy. Although maybe after g takes f5, I didn't want to play that because it messed up my pawns, but g takes f5, bishop takes f5. I'm seeing now that I have knight takes g5 check, which does win a pawn. Okay, but pretty good. Yeah, that was an unusual move order in the opening. Rook e8. As I was commenting, black tends to play e6 anyways in these structures, so I wonder if rook e8 is simply a mistake, because it gave me this extra option in this position of taking with the e pawn, which I decided to do. Normally, this isn't a good decision for white if black is able to bring the light square bishop out quickly, like with bishop g4 or bishop f5, or if they're able to play knight e4. But since none of those options are available to black, I feel like this is simply an easy advantage for white. I mean, everything else being equal, the pawn structure favors white, more space, and black has some problems getting their minor pieces to good positions. You maybe heard me comment before, but in the Benoni, black tends to have one too many minor pieces for the available squares, and you can really see that with black's queenside pieces. So the knight on b8, the bishop on c8, only one of them can occupy the d7 square, and it's naturally going to take away a square, a normal square, let's say, for one of the other minor pieces. All right, I'm back in the pool. So I have a decent 3-minute rating going, 24.79 after that game. Let's just take a look at a game while we're waiting. So I've been back from the London Chess Classic for about a week now. And thanks to those of you who are following my result online. I know I didn't post any updates or any games or anything, but if you follow me on Twitter, you saw my postings about the rounds and such. So the tournament went well. I scored 6.5 out of 9 for, I believe, a 25-19 FIDE performance. Didn't make a Grandmaster norm, but gained about 11 FIDE points, which is pretty solid. I'll take that most days. And I was in Grandmaster norm contention, I would say, for a while. I lost in rounds, what was it? I think rounds 5 and also round 7, both to Grandmasters with the black pieces. So I had one game against a French Grandmaster, Matthew Cornet, which was kind of my most important moment of the tournament, I would say. Be small. Let's play a Scandi this game and just try to whip off some quick moves. Queen d8 Scandinavian. Yeah, and g3 is a perfectly acceptable way of playing against this line. I'm going to try to keep the light square bishop for the time being. You can also trade on f3, but I feel like that's sort of giving white the position they want. Yeah, and I expect them to play knight h4 and go after the bishop pair. So we're going to get a very normal position for the Scandi where white has the bishop pair, probably a slight edge, but it's a completely playable position for black nonetheless. Should I keep going with a4? Yeah, I'm going to do that. And then maybe knight d5 coming up. Yeah, let's play knight d5. If he takes, I'll take with the c pawn, but yeah, they usually play knight e4 in reply to that move. Okay, now let's play the rook over here. I think I'm going to play for c5. He might go h5. And I'm thinking after the trade, I'll stick the knight back on f8 to kind of guard some key squares. So there. Don't think I want to take that. I think I like this. Now I'm threatening knight e5, which would attack the queen and also the d3 pawn. I want to speed up a little bit. I feel like I'm a bit slow right now. Let's go e5. Nah, he has bishop h3. Let's actually go here. I'm going to send the knight to c6 if I can. This is a bit of a weird maneuver, but I think it's justified. He has knight takes c5 though, doesn't he? Knight c6, knight takes c5. All right. I'm going to sack that pawn. I'm going to play knight d4. Don't think it's enough compensation, but I got to play something that coordinates my position. This looks like the right decision. In a blitz game, at least. 3-minute game. h5. Okay. Well, let's take that. Is he going to go g6? He does. Getting sharp. All right, let's send this in. I know he can take here and mess up my king's safety, but I felt like that had to be played.
Check.
I think I gotta take that. So 2 knights versus 2 bishops. I am up a pawn. Pretty raggedy pawn structure, though. Okay, let's play the knight here. Probably look to play g6, try to stabilize things. That move I didn't see, unfortunately.
Check.
Okay. Do we have compensation here? Hopefully. Let's try to send this knight to e6 to coordinate. If I can get these knights working together, I've got a decent position. Bishop e3, queen takes d3. Looks decent. Yeah, he has rook d1, but I'm going to take my chances with this. There, I thought I might have knight g5. But he checks on e7, huh? All right, let's take here.
Check.
He instantly
Check.
takes there. Okay. Well, now I might play queen g4 if I get the chance, but maybe he'll just hide his king right now. Okay. Let's prepare an ambush move. Really got to watch my time at this point. So I'm trying to check him. He can't go to the h file because I have rook h8. Maybe queen f3. I think I should be all right here, but time is a big factor. Oh, he can go to the h file. Ooh.
Time warning.
That could be a big problem. I think I got to run with the queen, or the king, rather. Yeah, didn't see that rook g1 nuance. I'm going to try for rook g4 or queen g4 next. One of the two. Probably queen g4. This queen's far away. He's got to hurry now. He doesn't know what to do.
Check. Check.
Hmm. Kind of gambling with the time here.
Check.
Yeah. Seemed like he was moving quite slow. He was looking for the perpetual. All right, well, I worked my way out of a tough situation right here after queen takes h5. King h2 looks strong, but maybe after king f6, there's just nothing decisive. So my queen, even though it's on the other side of the board, it does a good job of controlling the h4 square. So he can really only check me in a meaningful way from h6, but as you saw, I just did this. Probably, you know, in a longer game, I would take the draw here, because I don't think I'm better at all, but that was just a blitz decision, deciding to play on. Rook g7, queen e4, trying to centralize the queen. I wouldn't be surprised if white had some sort of shot at this point, but for instance, he can't play bishop h6, looking to pressure the g7 square, because I have queen h4 mate. And his king is open as well, so it's not a trivial position. Yeah, so as I was saying in the opening, this is what tends to happen in the Scandinavian, especially the queen d8 Scandinavian. There's a lot of positions where you have a compact setup, you've got a reliable pawn structure, but white has a bit more space in the bishop pair. So white should be slightly better. I think I illustrated how black can play these middle games, try to advance on the queen side. I definitely don't think I played this the best possible way, because white was outplaying me in the middle game. Yeah, looks to me like this knight b8 move might be bad, but I bet at this point, white's already for choice. They have been for the last few moves. Yeah, clear edge white according to the computer. He's making some progress on the king side. I was trying to prove that d3 is weak, but maybe I went astray somewhere, like right around here. I don't know. Engine doesn't like c5. c5, c4. It says just take the pawn. V takes c4 instead. I suppose I could consider b takes c4, d takes c4, then knight e5. White would have to play queen e2 to guard the c4 pawn, and then maybe knight back to b6, something like that. Although bishop a5 looks annoying. Yeah, white's still a bit better. All right, I'm back in the pool. One thing I enabled on ICC is this feature where it shows the stats in between players. And I know I played this player before, so I'm not sure why it doesn't show the stats from previous games. Maybe because it only shows the stats in the time control that you're playing, but I'm pretty sure I played this player in either 5-minute or 1-minute. Oh, wow, that's Leonid Yudasin. Yeah, very strong. Former Soviet Grandmaster. I've played this guy over the board before. I think at one of these big opens, World Open or Chicago Open, about 10 years ago. And actually, I think we played a Scandinavian, now that I think about it. I think it was a Queen A5 Scandinavian. I was on the black side and I lost. But yeah, very good player. I've also played him in a Blitz tournament. I lived in New York City for a year. And the very first day I moved to New York City, like I got off the plane and there was a Blitz tournament in, I think, Bryant Park. The day I arrived, and I decided just to kind of play, even though I was getting all set up in my apartment and stuff like that. And I played Yudasin at that tournament, and he beat me there as well. So maybe this is a small measure of revenge. Let's watch his game while we're waiting for another game. Okay, that didn't last long. Belli again. I'm going to play d4 once more. He seems determined to move faster. Okay, I'm going to go here. If d5, I'm going to play h3. That one. All right, let's just go bishop e3. And if he's going to give me the bishop pair, I will take it. Castles, now I'm looking at e5. e5 is a serious threat. Let's go here, useful move. I really want to get an e5, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. Let's just develop the bishop. If b5, bishop b3, then e5 will be back on the cards. In the meantime, though, let's advance. I think g5 could be helpful at some stage. Goes there. Interesting. Doesn't that just lose a pawn? Ah, he's going to go knight b6. Uh-huh. Take knight b6. Well, in that case, let's just pull this back. Probably get a swap. He might play e6 after that. And then I think I'm going to go h4, h5. Try to attack his king. Hinting that maybe he wants to go e5. Not so subtly hinting. I'm going to try to stop that. Yeah, when your opponent plays a move like that, just puts a rook on a square where the only purpose is to push the e-pawn, then you're pretty sure about their intentions. All right, now we got to do this. We got to try to mate him. I'm not going to play on the queen side or in the center because I don't feel it's necessary. Now, do I play h5 and just let him take here? h5, take, take. He can defend at h7 at the end. So I think it probably is worth playing this move. Just being solid. If a4, I can simply take it. He doesn't have knight takes c3 because a queen takes c3. F5. Wow. All right, let's play g5. Try to squeeze him. Maybe rook f7 now? Huh. Well, now I'm going to put pressure on e6 a little bit. I know he can advance on the queen side, but I feel like this must be good for me. Considering h6 just really shut his bishop out of the game forever. Yeah, and actually, I think I'm going to do that. Don't know if this decision is strictly necessary right now, but I really like the look of it. Because now in essentially every endgame, he just has a bad position. Okay, so b4. He's trying to get that bishop active, which I can't blame him for that. I'm going to take this. I am opening my position a bit, though, with this decision. Ah, that move I didn't see. Yikes. Yeah. Undefended, weak pieces. All right, I think I got to go here and sack my rook, unfortunately. Can probably just take on d4. So he can hide his king on h8. I mean, I might have a little compensation. Oh, queen c3.
Check.
King b1. He has a draw if he wants it. Might have a little compensation here, but he looks pretty safe. Even just a move like king h8 now. All right, well, let's go into this endgame and see.
Check.
I mean, my pawn structure is great. And he can't play e5 so easily yet. So maybe I have chances. Ooh,
Check.
now I get this in, though. Be careful. Be careful. Ah, I had rook f7. Rook f7 was just much better there. I was just winning a rook. Okay, let's get active now.
Check. Check.
Well, I'm very active now, but I don't know about this position. Check.
Time warning.
Let's go here. Rook a7 forced, yeah. I don't know about my last move. That was suspicious of me.
Check. 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 Check.
Yeah, this was not good. Time got the better of me here. Yeah. Resign that one. Probably should have taken that draw, but I thought I was close to winning. Yeah, that was a bad miss on my part, just not realizing that I can play rook f7 and win the rook. Yeah, that's an easy win if I do that. Well, I definitely had control of the position right around here. h6 is debatable. I don't know if I should play that move because it looks like it would be most consistent to try to crash through on the h-file, like take, queen h3. But the thing is, his king is always going to f7 in those positions, and I'm not going to checkmate him. So I felt like banishing his bishop to h8 was the right call. But yeah, I clearly messed up with bishop takes a4. That was not good. Yeah, take. This does look suspicious, just opening the king like that with the bishop undefended on that square. But surprisingly, once we got here, it's maybe not so easy for black to prove an advantage. Because, yeah, especially now that I look at it, that king h8 move I was talking about, black does have to watch out for rook takes d4. Rook takes d4, queen takes d4, bishop b2. Black has a perpetual here, but it feels like black should play for more. And mainly due to the fact that I have that pawn on h6, that justifies this decision to try to trade down. I mean, I'm probably still worse at this point, but it doesn't look all that bad. Let's see what the engine says. It says minus 1.7, but it looks like white has swindling chances. Yeah, and that move just gave it away for him, but I didn't take advantage. Maybe I got overambitious at this point. Just felt like I should be winning somehow, but as you can see from the eval, there doesn't seem to be anything. Okay, let's get back in there. Otherwise, I like the way I played the game. I mean, I think the position I had when I got to play g4, f4, had the two bishops, this was looking really nice. Computer says c3 is fine right here. Yeah, guarding d4, that's an okay decision. I'd like to do without c3 if I could, because if I move any of these queenside pawns, that does give black something to latch onto on that wing. I'd love to just put my head down and play h5. Okay, now it actually says h5. Maybe that's worth taking a look at. If I back up here. Because that was one thing that crossed my mind right after he played queen b6. So yeah, what if I do play h5, saying go ahead and take the pawn on d4. So take hg. I thought he'd have to take this way, because if he takes this way, just queen h3 should be killer. This king's going to have to go for a run. So take this way. Yeah, and I didn't go for this line because I just thought rook f7 was always going to be the answer, but there might be some destructive move like f5. The computer's advocating. And let's just see what happens if he takes the material. Now his king is even more of a target. c4. Attack the knight, and then the next move is going to be c5 if the knight moves. So say knight f6, c5. Yeah. That looks painful. And then don't even pick up the rook right away. Queen g3 check. Okay. All right, Kingwalker. Let's play d4 again. I went on a Wikipedia binge last night. You guys ever do that? Just go down the rabbit hole of Wikipedia. You get started reading some article, and then it leads to another article. I was reading about pirates and the golden age of piracy. It was absolutely fascinating. Guys like Blackbeard, of course, Edward Teach, I think is his name. Let's play here just to break this pin. Henry Every, notorious pirate. Bartholomew Roberts, my namesake even. Yeah, it was a real enjoyable couple of hours spent on Wikipedia. Let's see. I want to play bishop d4, but he plays e5 if I ever do that, so I think I'm going to go rook d1. Let's play h4 now. Look for h5, especially if he castles. Okay, so he's going to put a stop to that. So maybe this, looking for f5. But if you guys have any suggestions, put them in the comments. What are your favorite articles to binge on Wikipedia? What's like a real interesting rabbit hole I can go down sometime? 'Cause I love doing that from time to time. And you know, it's the holidays. I've got a little more time on my hands. I'm not playing a tournament for another few weeks. So let me know. Okay, f5 right here, or am I going to get hurt somehow if he does that? He can play knight e5, I guess, against that move. Let's just do this. Yeah, I think queen a5, though. It's always a good answer. Not a fan of this move, but I'm going to play it. It looks wrong retreating the knight, but let's try to take, and then e4 is protected. Rook b4. That I was not expecting. All right, I'm just going to play f3. Looks solid. Because now what does he do about this situation? He can't move his rook because he loses his queen. And he can't really put his queen anywhere that doesn't lose the rook. So he probably needs to play c5 in the near future. Although it is difficult to attack this rook again, I should say. He's going to play c5. Now knight a3 to c4 looks reasonable. Yeah, let's do that. Get the knight out this way. Put the knight on c4. Maybe gear up for e5 or f5. And if he moves the queen now, I might snatch on a6. Bishop takes a6. Knight b6. Wow. Okay. f5. It's now the time to play f5. Just seeing if he has any threats. I don't see any. So let's do it. And I'm threatening g6. It's attacked twice. He can't take on f5. He loses the bishop on g7. I like the timing of this move because he can't play knight e5 now. But I have to watch certain tactical themes. Okay, knight takes a4. Now against this, I don't even necessarily have to take that. I can play knight c4, for instance, first. And in fact, I think I will, because that looks much cleaner. Hits the queen. And if the queen moves away, then I take on a4. The knight's defended. I don't have to worry about queen takes a4. This looks close to winning, unless he comes up with something real impressive here. Yeah, he needs some sort of tactical strike, but let's just take everything. And he has kind of a random looking shot like queen h2, for instance, but shouldn't be anything. Yeah, and he just resigned. Okay, I think my position was dubious out of the opening. These Peart's modern lines tend to be a little tricky move order-wise. So like this early bishop g4, maybe I shouldn't play bishop e3 in response to that. I'm actually not sure. Maybe bishop c4? But then he might play e6. I don't know. Bishop e3 here. Maybe d5 is simply a mistake. I mean, I could play bishop c4 here, because if ever he plays bishop takes f3, I take with the queen and I'm on f7. This is something that I'd look up in the database. In fact, I might do that after this session. Because I just know from experience, and also sometimes playing these with black, these move orders, especially when you start with g6 on move 1, you're very flexible. You don't commit the knight to f6. They have a lot of possibilities that don't normally come up in d-pawn openings. Yeah, I'm going to look at that one after the session. But for now, let's get back in. I was saying I wasn't a big fan of my position, like right about here, let's say, because black has a better pawn structure in my eyes. He does have this isolated A pawn, but otherwise black's structure is great. He even has the almost Sicilian-like pawn on c6 where you get to capture towards the center if ever there's a trade on that square. He's got the nice bishop on g7. I've got the damaged f-pawns, which I was trying to turn into an an asset by playing this rook g1 f5 plan. But it just feels like black should be completely fine here. Engine wants to play knight g4 at this moment, which is interesting. I guess the idea, knight g4, bishop takes g4, h takes g4, rook takes g4 can be met by knight f6. And then if the rook moves back to g1, black has rook takes h4. So that's a nice point. Yeah, b3, queen here. And now I played this weird looking knight b1 move, but it might be decent. Yeah, in fact, the computer says it's best. A lot of times your knight just doesn't stand well in the c3 square when you have that pawn on c2. And also, with black's bishop on g7, I just didn't want to run into any shots like knight g4 when the bishop and the queen will be ganging up on the knight. So that was the motivation for that move. And I do leave e4 temporarily unguarded, but black's queen is under attack, and if they trade, then I get to take with the knight and thereby guard the square. Probably black's game came apart after they played rook b4. That move, to me, just looks wrong. I could see their desire to play actively. It feels like black has some momentum right here, but once I simply play f3 and guard the e4 pawn, I'm looking at these two major pieces, and I don't like the coordination I see from black's perspective. Okay, I am junior 64. I'm going to play g6. I'm going to experiment with some solidity myself. Not solidity, some trickiness with the move order, let's say. That's unfortunate. Yeah, they got disconnected right away. I gained 3 rating points from that game, but I definitely shouldn't have. Okay, Rickson is the next opponent. We'll play a Symmetrical English. I don't play this too often, but I did play this over the board recently. First round of a tournament in St. Louis, that invitational event I played. Real solid opening. I don't think there's much here for white. Even when I was playing c4 more often, I never really got much of an advantage against this line. And let's see how he treats it. I kind of think early rook b8 might be annoying. Let's do it, just to pester him on this square. So I should have good development now. This bishop can come to f5 or a6. The queen kind of depends because b6 looks like an active square, but he does have knight a4 if ever I play the queen out. An a5 looks like the wrong square for the queen. I'm just going to be solid. I'll play bishop e6. Okay, we'll bring the queen out. He's going to try to work against these pawns in the long term. If I can play c5 followed by d4, then I may succeed in activating my position, but I have to time that correctly. Let's take. I was hoping he'd take with the queen. Then I had queen takes a4. But now maybe this move. Yeah, this is thematic, trying to advance this pawn before it becomes a fixed weakness. Maybe knight d3, looking for knight f4. Yep, he's going to do it. Can play c4, but knight f4, or maybe take, and then knight f4. Actually, I kind of like the look of that. I'm going to do that. Unless he's going to play e4 against that. I'm going to try it. Quickly plays queen e2. Okay, now c3 or... Yeah, let's play c3. This pawn might become weak, but if I can put a rook behind it, looks annoying for him. He's got a lot of moves here. g4 is a consideration. Okay, let's back this up. Yeah, he's just playing outright to win that. Okay, I'm going to do this. This is kind of radical, but I feel like otherwise I might just lose this pawn. I'm going to look for activity.
Check.
That pawn might be just lost soon. I don't know. All right, I got to do this. Pretty far down on time at this point, though. Try to stay active. Probably king g2. Yep.
Time warning.
Send this up the board. Okay, now this will be tough. This will be very tough. Down a pawn in a position that theoretically presents some challenges. Maybe not the way it's currently going, actually. I'm pretty active in this case. Should be a draw. Because my rook is real optimally placed.
Check. 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 Check.
But I have no time.
Check.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the importance of staying ahead on the clock in 3 minutes right there. Didn't really matter that the position is probably a draw at the end because of the clock. So White's play was pretty straightforward in this one. I think this shows how difficult it is sometimes to handle this pawn structure, this so-called hanging pawn structure or isolated pawns. You face similar difficulties because they have a lot of momentum and kinetic energy, but if they slow down, you tend to just get into statically worse positions. And I think that's what happened when he was able to blockade the c-pawn. Rook c1, and then queen e1 after that was a nice move. I was just struggling for something to do here. And in fact, I'm second-guessing whether I should play c3 to begin with. Maybe rook c8 first is just better. I feel like my position is all right at this stage, but the computer says c3 is fine. Somehow in the game, I wasn't completely happy with this position. Might just be one of these positions that in a faster game is easier to handle for white because they have a pretty clear objective, which is win the c3 pawn, blockade it, and win it. Whereas I almost have to prove something. And I don't think I did that in a convincing way. Engine recommends, I was saying g5 a moment ago, which is a very unusual move. Not a move I'm likely to come up with in a blitz game. Queen c5 also looks kind of strange to me. So that's another thing to keep in mind, especially if you play a lot of fast time control chess, is like the types of positions you're getting. Regardless of what the engine says, which side is it easier to play for, you or your opponent? Because that can be a big factor as to whether you should play those positions if it's a blitz game or a rapid game or whatnot. Yeah, and here I was saying this is a draw because you can see my rook is excellently placed behind the b pawn and monitoring f2. In fact, I had an OTB game with exactly that piece arrangement. I ended up losing it where I was down the pawn, but in analyzing with my opponent after the game, we were pretty certain that the position was drawn. Okay, let's play something a little offbeat against Magnon. The early bishop g5. So this is reminiscent of a Tori, but just against e6 rather than g6. Okay, I'm going to take here, just damage their structure. And then arrange my pawns on dark squares to try to restrict this bishop. He's probably going to play for a quick rook c8. Let's put this here. I'm going to do this. More control over b4. Also maybe flirting with the idea of playing b4 myself at some stage. Or even takes on c5 and then b4. That actually looks really interesting. I'm going to try that. He could take with a queen. Yeah, he does take with a queen. Okay, let's go here. This is kind of like a Slav or a semi-Slav. Go b4. Hit the rook in the corner. Now I have options of c5 or taking on d5. Plays d4. That's a pawn sack. So if c5, where are you going to put the queen? If queen d5, bishop here. I think I should play this move. Probably he'll put the queen on c7 or b8. Looks like he really wants to make something happen down here. Whether that's an issue, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I'm going to take with a pawn. I might end up castling queenside. Bishop there. Okay. So maybe this, looking for knight d6 check. If he takes, knight d6 check is a nice in-between move. Yeah, let's send this in. That looks like the best thing to do. Now I'm going to castle this way. I think with the knight here, it blocks his attacks down the h-file, so this looks appropriate. b6. So if takes, I'm going to take with the b pawn. Thinking he might put the king on g7 sometime soon, just to connect his rooks. And slowly I can start getting stuff out of the way of the diagonal. It's a tricky move. Probably here. Yeah, start getting stuff out of the way. Hitting f7. Okay. I got to play a little faster now. Don't like falling behind like this. I have a good position. His coordination is suspect right now, too. Knight g6. I'm going to take that. Maybe looking for something on f5. Yeah, now knight takes f5 as a threat.
Time warning.
Ooh, and he's going to drop material.
Check.
Now I got to make sure I don't lose on time. That's the big challenge. Hitting this, hitting f5, hitting h4. Okay. Come on, John. Move faster.
Check.
Okay. Yeah, against the king in the open position, I was pretty confident once my h-pawn was sprinting down the board, but always nerve-wracking when you look up and you have two or 3 seconds and your opponent has about the same. Okay. I think I controlled that middle game pretty well. So, a trade of the knight for the bishop on f6 that damaged his structure. I like what black did with h5. I think that's a smart decision, because if I play h4 here, which is the knee-jerk reaction to h5, then my g3 pawn becomes weaker. And I don't like that structure so much. So I tried to play without that. Pretty unusual idea, a3, and then take here. Unusual for white to do this, I should say, because in some openings, like I was mentioning the semi-Slav, this is a standard idea, where you try to gain counterplay on the queen side. And often in the semi-Slav, you're doing it partly to open up a bishop. I have no bishop standing on c1, but if I did, that would be the motivation, one of the motivations. As played, though, I like the way this developed because I got pressure on h8. Black does have a big question mark surrounding his king safety, so I think I was able to put some long-range pressure on him quite well. d4 to me doesn't look right. I think he should move the rook. Maybe just rook g8 or rook h6. Although rook h6, there is queen g7 potentially. He even has bishop f8 there, so I don't know. Yeah, rook h6 actually looks like the right reaction, because then he's threatening bishop f6. So black should be fine, but after this I went up a pawn. It was not easy, though, because with the bishops and my slightly weakened king in some instances, especially if black opens the h-file, the possibility of me being overextended, I could easily see this backfiring. But kept everything protected. Yeah, and eventually lined up a knight takes f5 shot. I was looking for a moment to do that. And fortunately was able to trade some stuff off from here. Okay, I'm satisfied with that game. I think I'm going to play 2 more games and then call it quits. This is turning into a bit of a long video. It's still pretty early for me. It's only 8:30. I'm definitely something of a night owl. We chess players tend to be night owls. I gotta say, in playing a lot of tournaments recently, a couple things come to mind. One, as far as improvement goes, and I've always kind of felt this way, but getting back into the tournament scene and playing very actively over the last few months has underscored this for me, but being active and playing a lot is far better than any amount of studying you can do. I really believe that, so just making a commitment to yourself to play serious games, analyze them afterwards, immerse yourself in serious chess. Tournaments are the best, of course, like over-the-board tournaments at a classical time control. But you can get close to this in playing longer games online, as I've advocated for years on this channel. So playing games of 15 or even 30 minutes or longer, if you have the time and availability to do so. You can study all you want, but I think unless you do that, unless you're playing a lot consistently and getting that constant feedback and putting yourself in the heart of the battle, you're going to be missing out on something in your chess improvement. And I know so many people, students, other chess enthusiasts I've come across over the years, even strong players, title players I've met before. People kind of just get locked into this mentality of not wanting to play or play a lot until they feel really comfortable with playing. And so they spend years and years convincing themselves that, oh, I just got to study a little bit more, or I have to improve my openings a bit more. I got to get my repertoire down, or I got to learn these endgames before I really jump into playing. And I just kind of shake my head at that, because it's like they're freezing up when the reason why they really got into chess to begin with is probably because it was enjoyable to play. I think that's the case for most people. So if you're on the fence about whether you should play more, and you're wondering how much time to devote to that, and you're serious about improving, I think you should just take the leap and commit to playing more often and cut down the amount of studying you're doing, because there's no substitute for that. And two, the other thing I was going to mention is playing tournament chess for me right now is a lot of fun. There's a lot of ups and downs too, of course, especially in pursuing something like the Grandmaster title, but I'm having more fun playing now than I think I ever have in my chess career. It's just really cool to have a goal that you're working towards, and knowing that there are going to be ups and downs along the way, but knowing that you're also becoming better constantly. Like I just see it in the way I'm evaluating and the decision making that I see in myself over the board, and even in like these blitz sessions and stuff. It's a lot better. So that's exciting. I'm going to go here and try to take with the knight, seeing as how he can't play b4. And I think this queen is going to be misplaced on b3. Does that. Okay, well, I think I'm happy to take with the pawn. I'm still going to go knight here next move. I want to stick that knight in on d3. Potentially win the bishop pair. Okay, let's go here. Now e5 is a threat. He's got to watch it. Yeah, so he correctly plays that. c5 knight here. I think that's fine for me. I think I'll play knight e4 if he goes knight b5. Because now he can't go to d6. He can play knight c7, but rook b8 simply looks good. So that's the extent of my calculation right now. And now c4 or a6. a6, knight c7, I even have rook a7 in that case. And I like that, especially since if he trades on a6, I'll be getting two nice minor pieces for the rook and the pawn. Well, let's keep trucking with this. If I get a chance for a well-timed... Okay, here he's going to lose a pawn. Do I take on c3 with the knight or the bishop? I think I actually like this way a little bit better. Because now bishop b2 is a threat. Just gorgeous bishops right here, raking these diagonals. If queen d2, knight c5, and I can come into the e4 square. He does have knight e5 here, but it's only some temporary activity for him. Yeah, let's just bring this back. This is looking really nice. Rook b8. Also, this knight is almost trapped. I can almost play like f6. f6 knight here, h5. But this looks simple. Let's do this. That is unexpected. And also, I don't have to take this knight. I have this rook b2 move. Rook b2, knight d6, I take. I'm going to be up a piece there at the end. Nah, you know what? I'm going to take here. I think my minor pieces are so good. If rook b2, he could maybe take on h6 and get a couple pawns. My king was open. So I'm just trying to angle for a position that's going to be easier to play in blitz, as I've been talking about. Let's bring this guy in. Do this. And he just has such trouble activating his rooks here. If he takes, I think I'm going to take with the pawn. The idea of queen b2. Queen b2 is on tap right now. Yeah, he just gives that away as he sees what's coming. Hitting f2, a1, and also c3. I think this is cleanest. Could also have taken c3, but I want to get rid of this bishop. It's kind of his last
Check.
vestige of counterplay. Gotta watch e6, don't I? I think that last move was inaccurate by me. Okay, but still a winning position. I should have just taken a2. I'm looking at f2 here.
Time warning. Check.
Go after the c pawn.
Check. Check.
Okay. So I made that sloppier than it should have been, but I did get the win eventually. I think after I was able to get this position with b takes c6, the game was looking real nice for me. And in fact, after knight b7, I think black's already better. Knight takes c, like if white castles here, let's say, knight takes c5, queen d1, knight d3, and I'm going to win the bishop pair because I'm hitting f4 and also b2. So this was looking real good. I think it was, after this, it was just about practical decisions, what practical decisions I should make. So here, I could play bishop takes a3, b takes c3, b takes a3, and then knight takes c3. That's also very good, but it seemed to me that my bishops were tough to deal with here. And I was threatening bishop b2. Maybe I rush knight c5. There's a lot of moves I could play here. f6 looks pretty good, too. Just to control the e5 square. Eventually play pawn e5. Even a slower move like rook a7, looking for rook b7 and then rook b2, or bishop b2, looks good. And then here, after knight takes f7, I can understand what white's doing because white's position is so bad that they really need some sort of stroke to mess up the position. Right now, just everything is going in black's favor. I'm up a pawn and I have a better position. So I do think from white's perspective, it makes sense to do something messy and or possibly bad, but keyword messy, so that I have to think and maybe there's a chance that I go wrong. So trying to muddy the waters. Here, I noticed that I could play rook b2, but I thought after knight takes h6, maybe followed by queen d4, there might be some potential for counterplay against my open king. So I just went for this because my minor pieces just look so nice. And again, white has such trouble bringing the rooks into the game. But yeah, it just wasn't super convincing by me after this. Queen came in. This is all fine, I think. And actually, I think knight d2 is a good move too. Eliminate the bishop, but after like this, let's say, I don't know why I didn't just play queen takes a2 in this position, or even a5, something like that. So many winning moves. I kind of putzed around for a few moves. He was just going back and forth, and yeah, eventually won, but could have been better. Okay, last game. It's been a decent session. Let's try to end on a positive note. Another thing that comes to mind when you're playing online, and I've talked about this a bit before, and I even break this rule myself. It's hard to do this, but maintaining a set number of games, so capping the amount of games you're playing per session, I think is a very good idea. We've all been on like Blitz and Bullet binges, especially Blitz and Bullet, because it's just so tough to stop playing in those time controls, especially if you're on a bad streak of games and you're on tilt and you're trying to make up your rating. But I think if you want to get better, the best thing to do is to set a set number of games and just say, I'm going to play only 5 games this session, or I'm going to play only 10 games this session. And I'm better about this when I'm recording videos, Sometimes I will play and like not set a number of games in the session, but sometimes it leads to me feeling bad about myself afterwards because I feel like I played too many games. So your quality definitely dips after a certain amount of games. There's no doubt about that. And I don't know what that magic number is. I think it's different for everyone. But that's why I make a point in these videos to say, like, okay, I'm going to play one more game or 2 more games. It's a good way to teach yourself chess discipline. Okay, I like playing these structures for white because you have pretty clear plans. Let's just take, get ready for the minority attack. So rook a b1 looking for b4, b5. Queen d6, okay. Yeah, interestingly here, I haven't played h3. So I haven't done that move yet. Now the battle usually revolves around who can get to c5 or c4 quicker. So I'm just trying to anticipate how black's going to do that. Knight b6 next, but there's maybe some issue with knight e5. I don't know. Let's start with this move, just to contest the file. And now I think I'm going to swing around. And if they go knight c4, I'm not going to take that knight. I'm going to try to stick my knight on c5. Or maybe even a5. Depends. Okay. So he's going to play bishop c8, and he wants his rooks to be connected. That's why he did that. Now I can try for e4 somewhere here. Can also maybe take on c4, but I don't know about the timing of that. Let's first play this move. I'm just kind of curious what he's going to do. Probably bishop e6. Queen there. Okay, now maybe I'll do this. Kind of arguing that he doesn't have queen b8, so he's going to have to move his rook or give up the file. Or both of those things, give up the file, in fact. A little down on time, though. He might play queen g5 coming up. I should keep in mind. Threatening bishop takes h3. Wait, doesn't... Oh, no. Okay, never mind. Thought that was just a blunder. It actually might be a blunder. Check followed by knight d7.
Check.
And at the very least, I can play take, queen takes c6. But does knight d7 just win material? Yeah, that looks just good. Queen g5. Queen g5, knight f8, followed by knight e6. Yeah, I think I'm just winning material here. There's only a limited number of squares he can go to protect his bishop. And 2 of them, e6 and g6, get forked, knight f8. The other one, queen g5, will lose the queen in that line I just mentioned. Knight f8 followed by knight e6. This knight isn't doing anything. He could sack his queen for 2 pieces, but that will lose. I guess he could play queen d6, bishop takes f5, g6. Nah, but queen d6, I can even throw a knight f8 first if I wanted. Yeah, that's easily winning. I'm glad I got into this structure because I actually haven't had too many games with the minority attack where black ends up playing b5 after I played b4 and locks it up like that. So I wanted some experience in that sort of position. Knight b6. Well, that's not going to do it. Just looking to see if I have checkmate here, but
Check.
I win his queen with check and then win his bishop with check, so there's not really much to think about. Okay, so in that game, all of this was pretty standard. Just wondering if I could make some small improvements. Like, actually, now that I think about it, rook f(c1) might not be the best move. It looks so natural to come over and attack that c6 pawn. But he just plays bishop b7, and eventually I played rook a1 anyways, so maybe I should have played rook a1 immediately, or knight d2, looking for knight b3 to c5. Let me just turn on the engine here, see what it thinks. Yeah, it says rook a1 right away. Don't delay it. So I lost a tempo there. Yeah, knight b3. Just very important to play around this knight. If I take on c4, I better be getting something significant in return, because black's going to take back. And yeah, their c-pawns will be doubled, but it'll be a protected pass pawn on c4. So that's a big decision if ever I choose to do that. Yeah, and here I played a waiting move. Computer says the best move is rook f1. That looks pretty mysterious. Now it changed to rook e1. It feels like a position where a waiting move is appropriate, and that's why I played h3. Because I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to take on a8 and then play rook a1 like I did in the game, or play e4. E4 is often a move you play in this type of structure to weaken their defensive c4. So attacking the d5 pawn, maybe looking for e5. So actually the computer likes h3 now. So that's kind of good that my instincts said that that was appropriate. Yeah, and I feel like queen f6 is a mistake. And I agree with the engine's eval. I think black is slightly worse here, but it doesn't look like much at all. As in, if black plays reasonably, I don't think white can win this position. Yeah, bishop e6 makes a lot of sense. Just stick the bishop there. But now after he does this, take, rook a1. And I think black should have played rook b8 here. Because even though I get the file and the rook looks relatively useless, he protects the back rank. By playing rook takes a1, queen takes a1, like now this threat of queen a8 is so strong that, yeah, black has to play a move to protect the back rank anyways, queen d8, and that puts themselves in a pin. So I think I would play rook b8 here. It's not a fun move to have to make, but controlling that 8th rank I think is important. Yeah, and after this is just game over. So black needs to do something defensive at this point. Queen d6. Probably the idea is queen d6, queen a8, queen f8. Well, even there's some interesting tactics like knight d7. He can't play bishop takes d7 because I have bishop h7 check. So there's some trickiness going on. But yeah, after this, knight d7, as I was explaining, there's just nowhere safe for the queen to go. I'm going to win the queen against all reasonable queen moves that try to hold the bishop. All right, so let's tabulate the results of this session. Played a decent number of games, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins, 2 losses. Broke about even rating-wise. Actually lost a few points, but as I said at the beginning, my 3-minute rating's pretty high, so I'll take that, 7 and 2. And yeah, as I was saying, I'm back from tournaments for a little while. I'll be posting a little bit over the holidays, but just working a lot on my game right now. That's why my uploads have dropped off. You just haven't seen me posting as much. And my next tournament will be in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll post the link below. It's a GM norm round robin. I think it'll be 6.5 out of 9 will be the GM norm requirement. And that is, I believe, January 11th through the 15th. And I haven't planned anything beyond that, but rest assured that in 2018, I'm going to be looking to play a lot of over-the-board chess. I want to keep this going. Grandmaster is the ultimate goal. And as always, thank you guys for your support. Really appreciate it. Okay, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you're having good holidays. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.